Hello and welcome back to the Eyesville Gaming channel for another game review. So today we're going to take a look at Star Wars Squadrons. This was a game that released in 2020 and was published by EA and developed by Motive Studio. Now I just want to get this out of the way super quickly. This game is mostly focused on being a multiplayer ship combat game, and that said, I'm going to be looking at really just a single player campaign here. I want to see if that aspect of the game makes it worth it and see if it's worth it for the average player to pick up and if it's worth their time really. I personally don't really play multiplayer or deathmatch games, so I don't think it makes sense or it's even really fair of me to do the reviewing of that part. So regardless, let's take a look at the Star Wars Squadrons campaign so we can hopefully help you to answer the most important question asked in this review series. Is this worth it for you? Let's get into it. So I'm going to go way out on a limb here and assume that if you have any interest in this game whatsoever, that you have some knowledge of Star Wars and the Star Wars universe. That means that I'm not going to go into explaining general Star Wars concepts or events. Okay, so the prologue of this game starts out following the destruction of Alderaan. Darth Vader has the Empire deploy Helix Squadron to wipe out an Alderaan refugee convoy. Also during the prologue, the Mid-Rim rebels led by Admiral Akbar send Echo Squadron to assist the convoy. So events are going to take place during this prologue, and then that's going to lead up to the main story, which actually takes place 4 years later, after the Battle of Endor. The game revolves around two different fighter squadrons, the New Republic's Vanguard Squadron and the Empire's Titan Squadron. The battles that play out are happening after the Emperor's demise, and so we have a rising New Republic and a crumbling remnant of what was the Galactic Empire fighting it out for control of the galaxy. As I mentioned, this game is a ship combat game, and so you play through various missions as both a member of the Rebel and Empire squadrons. Between missions, you're going to be at hangar locations, and you can't really walk around or explore them outside of your ship. Your character is basically just standing there, and you're essentially playing a point-and-click game at this point with dialogue given by squad mates or leaders when you click on them. You then go into a briefing area, and you're going to be told about what the mission details are, and then you just head out. During the deployment, sometimes you can change the ship or the loadout, but it really depends on the mission. There is some character customization in the beginning, but it doesn't really matter that much in single player, so if that's all you're planning on playing, I wouldn't really spend too much time on it. You're not really going to see your character, so it doesn't really matter. There also isn't a ton of options for customization, as it's really not an important aspect of the game. The entire focus is on the ship combat itself. And aside from that, there isn't really too much to talk about in this section. You have all the expected controls in ship combat, like your pitch, yaw, roll, throttle. The different armaments are going to change depending on what ship you're piloting, and sometimes you are allowed to select that loadout, though this happens later on in the game, and it depends on if the mission allows you to change that. All of the actual gameplay is based around the real-time dogfights, but you're going to be given specific objectives as well. Typically, there's going to be some overall objective for the mission, but you're also going to be given goals as you go through in each mission area in order to achieve the overall success. And basically while this is going on, you're going to be engaging with enemy pilots. I'm really tempted to say that this is Star Wars Star Fox, but I'm not sure how relevant the comparison is going to be. It does share similarities in that you're working with a squad, and there can be some similar style of communication between squad mates, but honestly Star Fox was more of a rail shooter and constantly moving forward, whereas this game takes place in a specific zone. I'd say there's actually probably more similarity to the Star Wars Battlefront ship combat battles, though there is some difference here as well, as the objectives are going to feel more different from Battlefront. Basically, they just feel more specific in terms of telling a story of an overall war scenario taking place in space, instead of just those standalone battles. In this game, you're actually moving from mission zone to mission zone in a cohesive story which is being told throughout. I've also read that this game is very much a modern version of the classic Star Wars X-Wing vs. TIE Fighter game. But I didn't play it, so I have no idea. Based on gameplay video that I have seen, it does seem to take some heavy inspiration from that game though, so take that for what it is. As far as unique features go, well, it's a Star Wars ship combat or dogfighting game. Really, if you're interested in this one, I'm guessing it's the fact that it's Star Wars, and that's likely what's selling it for you. There is a power management system when you're flying around, so you need to reallocate your energy between engines, shields, and weapons, and this does make it more interesting gameplay-wise than if all of this was just handled statically. There's also a number of different maneuvers that you learn in order to improve your chances.
I know a few maneuvers. We'll lose them.
Performance and bug-wise, I personally didn't run into any issues, but of course this is just my experience and may not be yours. I felt that the graphics were pretty good in this one. Ships, NPCs, locations, everything looks pretty good here. There isn't really going to be a huge diversity of environment, but this is to be expected. It's ship battles in space. What would you expect? The ships and space stations are also all going to have that Star Wars style of aesthetic. Sound in the combat is done really well, I thought, but as far as dialogue goes, I think that the mission briefings are fine, but the dialogue with squad mates or others just feels not very good. In my opinion, none of it felt particularly well done or even all that interesting. They just seem to drone on about nonsense. Of course, this is going to be totally different for different players, but that's just my experience with it. I'll play a few examples of the sound so that you can decide for yourself how you feel about it.
The Empire won't push into our territory again anytime soon.
Thanks to our new pilot.
Yeah, and thanks to the rest of us. This isn't a race, all right? We're a team.
You're right, Gunny.
Don't see the appeal in flying myself, but I've been working on TIE since they rolled off the assembly line. Your fight is in good hands.
New arrival. I'm Havina Vonreg. Titan can always use another pilot, so long as you're good at killing rebels.
That's it. Push the Imperials back. You got it.
Fuel pod is destroyed.
Titan. You're being followed. Superb, Titan 1.
So we're done with showing what the game is in a more objective way. I know this one was really quick, but there wasn't too much to show, at least for the single player part. Now I'm just going to move into a more subjective style of discussion, just about how I felt about the game, if I enjoyed it, if I would recommend it, that sort of thing. Keep in mind that it doesn't matter if I enjoyed it or not, because that doesn't mean that you're going to or you won't. If this is something that's of interest to you, you should check it out regardless. Also, I just want to really quickly mention, I don't do any kind of ratings like giving it a number out of 10 or so many stars or that kind of thing. I don't think it really makes sense in games or really any kind of media, so I just don't do it. And so the final question, did I enjoy Star Wars Squadrons, and am I recommending this one? Personally, I didn't really care that much for it. To be fair, I'm not really a ship combat enjoyer though, at least not in this kind of style. I did play some Elite Dangerous some years ago, but the combat there was a lot more fleshed out. And aside from that, the game itself was a lot bigger with a lot more going on. I would love to see a Star Wars game like that, but regardless. The only reason why I actually want to try this one is I was a pretty big Star Wars fan years ago, but I don't know, I just didn't get that Star Wars-y feel here.
I've only got 5.
Well, fun as this is, Commander Javes has someone special waiting for us in the briefing room.
The ships, the sounds that they make, yeah, it feels like Star Wars, but the dialogue and story that they're telling, all the interactions with the other characters, that part just felt off for some reason. Honestly, I didn't find any of the other characters interesting, and I know this is totally down to personal preference, so you might have a different takeaway from it than I did. Personally, everything just felt like a generic arena ship combat game, with a Star Wars skin on it. So what does this mean in terms of what I recommend this game? Do I think it's a good game? I'm conflicted. I think if you really like these kinds of ship combat games, then it probably doesn't hurt to check it out. If you're buying it because you like Star Wars, maybe you're a little bit more indifferent to that type of game and you just want more Star Wars, well then in that case I'd say it's a little bit harder of a decision. Again, they're able to get the look and the sound of things, and if you really don't care about the story or the other characters, then yeah, it feels like Star Wars. If you like to play games for the story and you're hoping for a well-developed Star Wars game that tells an interesting story via a number of space battles, well, I would just recommend tempering your expectations, as the overall story is pretty bare bones, and even the individual missions are going to feel pretty repetitive fairly quickly. Any of these missions feel like they could just be part of any generic space battle game, and nothing really jumps out as being Star Wars. Like I said, the game is really focused on the multiplayer, so the single player is expectedly going to be fairly weak. So just make sure to consider what you want out of it and what you're buying it for. If you are planning to go for the multiplayer, it might be more worth your time. At the end of the day, this game is usually on sale for super cheap, so it's not a huge investment anyway. I've seen it on sale for less than a cup of coffee, so honestly that might be worth it even if you're just curious. So I hope you enjoyed this look at Star Wars Squadrons. Please let me know down in the comments if you've already played the game and if you agree or disagree with my own opinion. If you found the video helpful or interesting, please give it a like and also consider subscribing to the channel. I post a bunch of gaming content, not just reviews, but walkthroughs and other gaming stuff. And I'd love to have you join the community and help direct the future of the channel. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch today, and until next time, take care.
Alderaan chose destruction. They incited rebellion and anarchy, and paid the price. The survivors continue to spread dissent. Find them. Do not rest until the destruction of Alderaan is complete.